This is chapter number 5, Kingdoms, Kings, and an Early Republic. So, kingdoms, king, all this we are going to know. This election day story starts from here, Shankaran. And what he sees that his grandparents, Nana Nani, they are very excited to cast vote, to go for give vote, cast their vote. Now, he was surprised why grandfather, grandmother are excited. Now, the grandparent says, we are going to choose our rulers today, who are going to govern us, who are going to rule us. So, the question comes, how did men become rulers earlier? The Rajas, Jana means people. People probably would have chosen them. Rajas, Sardar, they might have chosen them. But around 3000 years ago, things changed. What happened? There were some people, some men or Rajas, they tried to become Raja by doing big sacrifices called Yagyas. Called Yajnas or Yagyas. So what happened here was, it's called Ashwamedh Yagya. Ashwamedh Yagya. In this, a person who wants to become a Raja, who wants to become a king, what he does, he will leave one horse. There will be no rider, only a horse, single horse. Along with this horse, the Rajas or the would-be Rajas member will always be there. So now this horse is going everywhere. So the person on which territory this horse has gone, if this person stops this horse, he has to fight, otherwise he will leave him. The other one, he may leave him, he may catch him, means the horse. If he catch him, he has to fight with the earlier one, or he has to, if he can just accept that, okay, you are a bigger king. So now wherever this horse is going, if somebody stops, he has to fight with the person who has sent this horse. Those who leave, they are okay. They will not fight. They have assumed that you are our Raja. So that particular area, all the Rajas or self-proclaimed Rajas or elected Rajas, this I am showing you, this is an area of Uttarakhand. Everywhere this Ashwamedh Yagya was done. We have evidences about that. So after this, once this is done, this Yagya is done, means this ritual is done. Now Raja, the person who has won, or who either he has fought with someone and won, or everyone has accepted his kingness. So he would sit in this Yagya, he would sit in a very, very big throne, special seat with tiger skin. So now the person who is you can say a chariot or charioteer, he will chant tales of his glory, of this man, this going to be king is very good, he did that, he used to be doing that, all this, praising. So all these three I showed you who didn't stop the horse, they would also be called and they will bring gift. And they will just sit like spectators in this Yagya or in this occasion. The pujaris, the priest, they will sprinkle some sacred water like Ganga Jal on the king. So this is kind of ritual happens in this, or was happening in the Ashwamedh times. Now the Vish or Vaishyas, that is the traders, merchants, they will also come and they will bring gift, upahar. But the Shudras, the people who are on the lowest Varna level, they were not allowed. They were excluded from most of the rituals. Most of the rituals. Okay, entry or attendance was not accepted. Now let me tell you about the Varna Vyavastha or caste system. And before that, let me tell you that there were various books which were composed in the North Indian part, especially the Ganges and the Yamuna drained areas. So most of the books are written here, and these books are written after the Vedic era, after Rigveda. So that is why they are called as later Vedic or post Vedic. They are called as, because they are written after Rigveda, post Vedic or later Vedic, especially in the northern region. In this we have Samved, Yajurved and Atharved. All this comes here. So what was the content of these books? First of all, these are composed by priests, the pujaris, the purohits, the brahmans. They have written, priests have written, and they have written how the Anushtan rituals have to be performed and what are the rules and regulation of the society. What should people follow? That there comes the Varna Vyavastha. Let me tell you some these four parts which I am talking about. First one is Brahman. Brahmans were either priest or they were academician. They were doing these rituals, or they were teaching these religious things, religious matters. They were on the topmost level in the society. Then came the Kshatriya. Kshatriya were the warriors and the king. They used to fight for their land, to keep their land safe. Then comes Vaishya. Vaishya, we have Agarwals, all these, Baniya caste we call them, are Vaishyas. In Brahmans, we have Pathak, Shukla, Pandey, Tiwari, like this. And today, everything has been normalized. There is no that much of Varna Vyavastha. And the lowest level, it was Shudra. As I said, Vaishya were doing the business activity or, trading. Vaishyas were doing business activity. Finally, the Shudra at the lowest level, and they were the servants, or you can say subordinates to the Vaishyas, Kshatriyas and Brahmans. And below that we have Ati Shudra, the Dalits, the Harijans, the untouchables. They would do all the lower order works and they were subordinate to everyone above them. So these Purohits, priests and the warriors were having money. The good farmers or the traders, they also had good money. But if you talk about herders, craftspersons, laborers, the people who were doing fishing, the hunters and gatherers, all these people were not that rich. They were poor. This Varna Vyavastha, this Shudra and this lower caste, they were marginalized, they were discriminated. You can understand that they have been discriminated since what time. So let me tell you about Shudra once again. These Shudras which were in the lowest level, they were not allowed in the puja area, or you can say they were treated as untouchables, apavitra, not clean or polluting. So after Constitution of India, this Chhuachut or untouchability has been barred. You cannot Jati Suchak word, you cannot use these words, you will go to jail. So most of the work has been done by the government to abolish this untouchability. But still at that time, the untouchables were treated very badly, especially by the Brahmans and the upper caste, right? So the good people were also there like you and me. The people were there who wouldn't accept this Varna Vyavastha. They wouldn't. Actually, the Brahmans have created this Varna Vyavastha or the caste system. So most of the people, they were not in favor. And the kings were also saying that we are the king, and how can a Purohit or a priest can be above us? And some were not be in favor that birth should be basis. this caste system, because the Purohits and priests have said, if a Brahman woman is there and a Brahman man is there, and if they get married, the ladka or ladki, the child will always be a Brahman. If it happens that the men and women are Shudra, the child will always be Shudra. So this basis were also not being, people were vocal about this. They were not accepting this. And there were the differences, there should not be differences on the occupation base. That is, if somebody is doing you can say a very low job, he should not be discriminated. People were saying the rituals, because Bhagwan or the god and goddesses are for everyone. So why there is a distinction that some people can be allowed and others cannot be allowed in rituals? And the untouchability, achut. So this kind of practice, untouchability, that no, give other cup, they cannot drink from our well, all these people condemned at that time also. Let me come to Janpad. So Janpad, the Rajas who were doing these yagyas or you can say sacrifices, now they were, because they have people have, most of the Rajas, they are under them now. So the Rajas previously were for Jana or people. But if somebody has done Ashwamedh Yagya, he will not only for people, he is actually the Raja or king of most of the area. So that is called Janpad. Janpad is a bigger area. So now the Raja or the king is of Janpad. So archaeologists have told us that the Janpadas, most of the evidence this has they got. For example, Purana Kila in Delhi, Hastinapur near Meerut, and Atrangi Kheda near Etah. They also found that people lived in huts. They were keeping cattle like the cows and the buffaloes, and they were growing what? Rice, wheat, barley, pulses, sugarcane, sesame, and mustard. So this we have got. Let me show you one of the place, Hastinapur. Hastinapur, this is the Hastinapur. You might have heard it in Ramayana and Mahabharata. So we have Etah, etc. Delhi. So let me tell you again, Purana Kila, Delhi, Hastinapur near Meerut, Atranji Kheda near Etah, UP. So what would happen? This pottery, you must remember, this kind of pottery, these are painted grey ware. So plates and bowls are the common vessels at that time, and they are painted grey ware, that is why. And they were quite nice, smooth, they have good surface. On special occasion they will be used, and for special people, important people, and for serving special food for them. So these are earthen pot that is made of clay, and the color would be in grey color. Some are in red color. That is why they are known as special pottery being found is called painted grey ware. Special pottery are being found, painted grey ware. And what were the design? It was quite simple, either lines or some geometrical figures like the triangle, like the square, like the simple lines. So the painted designs, these painted grey pots have. Now I told you about Janpad, but if you see that some movie star is there is one bigger star, one of the bigger star. Like Amir Khan is a bigger star, then you can say Varun Dhawan, right? So the Janpads, some of the Janpad has become a Mahajanpads. So I'm taking you 2500 years back. There were some Janpad who became Mahajanpad, big Janpad, and they become very prominent Mahajanpadas, and they have some similarities, or they have some peculiarities. First of all, a bigger area will have an area which is called as the capital of that Mahajanpad, Rajdhani. This capital will be fortified. Fortified means a kila will be made, means a boundary, big wall boundary will be made using wood, brick, stone all around them. So all this area, that is the Rajdhani or capital, will be fortified by big walls. Kilebandi ki jati thi. Now why these were done? The question is there. Why this fortification was done? First thing is, if you are not doing this fortification, if some enemy will come, any enemy will come, how are you going to defend yourself? If you have a killa, if you have a fortification, there will be a problem for the enemy. For that, so for attacks, for deferring the attack, or you can say to have protection, and to get rid of these attacks. This is the one reason. Second reason is that some Mahabharata Janpads and kings were rich. They were powerful, so they wanted to show it. They wanted to show it to the other people. So this is the other reason why they made these boundary walls. If you are at a house, you are in control by your parents, right? If you are not at your house, you are not under control. So that is what I am saying, that those people who are living here inside this fortified area, they can be managed easily. But these diwars, these forts, they need a lot of resources. They would need to make them a lot of planning, breaks, labor from men and women, and of course, as I said, resources of different kinds. Because this, if you see the pictures here, it was at that time, I'm taking you that 2500 years ago, these forts were made. So this is an example, this is a picture of Kaushambi. It's near Uttar Pradesh, called as a place called Allahabad, but it has been changed to Prayagraj. So this Prayagraj and this Kaushambi fortification you can see. So it was probably around 2500 years ago this is being made. And all over India you will find there are certain places where you will find fort like Singhgarh Fort, Rani Jhansi Fort, like this. Now the new Rajas, they were maintaining their own armies, like the people who will fight for them, and armies, people. So they will pay them like a permanent employee. They will pay them, and they will pay them using the punch marked coins, like a coin with some punch marked on it. So these are salaried armies. And now the question arises, they have to make fort, they have to have armies. So building these big, gigantic, huge forts and maintaining these big armies, they need resource, they need money. Let me tell you again, to have all these in Mahajanpadas, from where they are going to get money? They can't only depend on the occasional gifts they are getting from some people, some upahar. So they have to do something else, and they did that. They started collecting regular taxes. So what are these taxes? And from whom these taxes have been taken? So 5 categories we can divide. 5 categories. So first category is the farmers, from whom the taxes are being collected, farmers. So whatever is being produced, the farmer will give 1/6 of their produce to the king. This is called bhag, 1/6 of the part. Then the second way is the craft person. Anyone who is say a weaver or a smith or a blacksmith or doing some leather work, anyone who is doing this craftsmanship, if a month is 30 days, one day he will go to work for the king. The herders, pashupalak. So whatever the produce they get from animals, like the milk, the ghee, the paneer, the doodh, the cheese, the meat. And then the fourth one is the traders, merchants. So whatever is being sold or purchased, right now what we have GST. Whatever you do, sell or purchase, you have to pay GST, goods and services tax. Same way, they had somewhat like this kind of tax, which is involved in trading. Then finally, the hunter and gatherers. These hunter and gatherers, whatever they are getting from the forest, they have to give it to the Raja, to the king. Okay. Now, at this juncture, there are two very prominent changes what we see in agriculture. Agriculture, first thing was, if you see, this is a plow. This is a plow, hull. Now, this plow, it is used to turn over the soil for crops. So previously, it was made up of these lakdi, wood. So if the mitti or the soil is hard, it was not able to do it. But now these plowshares were made up of iron. So this is the first change. Not wood, now iron plowshares were being made. And with this, all these hard soil can be easily turned over. Second important agriculture activity was paddy transplantation. Previously, what would happen? This is the field, so they will just throw the rice, and some will come, some saplings will come, some will not. So around 30-40% wouldn't come. So that kind of crop cannot be produced. But what they did, rather than throwing it, they threw in a small place, and the saplings would come, the paddy saplings will come. Now they will take it and transfer it to a bigger field. Saplings to other field. So now it is quite clear that all these they have transferred, that will grow. So these two things, iron plowshares and then proper transplantation of paddy to have higher growths. And this was a very, back-breaking work, very difficult work. So the dasas and the dasis and all the agricultural laborers, which we call as kamakars. Let me tell you again, dasas, dasis and kamakaras, the laborers, the agricultural laborers would do it. Now let me take you to certain places. Magad. Two places I am going to take you, Magad and Vajji. Now this Magad is, you can say, the southern portion of Bihar, present day Bihar. This is Magad. Now this Magad, it was one of the most important Mahajanpad. It was in just 200 years, it has become the most prominent Mahajanpad because it has Ganga and Son Nadi, means rivers, Ganga and Son rivers. First thing is, because of these rivers, transportation was easy, water supplies they were getting, and the land was fertile. And in these forests, they'll get the elephant, they used to train them, and they're getting the lakdi or the wood from the forest, so they can make tools, chariots, etc. And this is an iron-rich area. So actually iron ore mines are there. So they would get this iron and they can make tools and weapons, hathiyar they can make. So Magad has two very powerful rulers. Let me name them: Bimbisar, Ajatshatru. Okay, so they would do anything to conquer. And after that came Mahapadmananda. So three were there, three big names: Bimbisar, Ajatshatru, and after that Mahapadmananda. He also went up to northwest part of subcontinent. So this Rajgir or Rajgriha or Rajgir was the first capital of Magad. Then it was changed to Patliputra. Patliputra is today's Patna. Now, I'll just give you a very small event. What happened 2300 years ago? Sikandar, Alexander, he was conquering the world. He wanted to conquer the world. So he already got Egypt, West Asia. So he came up to banks of Beas river. And he said, okay, let's fight and get Magad. But the soldiers said, sir, we have heard that the Indian rulers, they have big armies, they have big soldiers, means number of soldiers they have chariots, they have elephants, they have hathiyar, they have tools, they have lot of things. So it's better. Alexander got the idea. He said, okay, let's not go there. Now coming to Vajji. This is the capital of Vajji, Vaishali. Why it is important to learn about Vajji? So we have two names, Buddha, Mahavir. These are the creators of two important religions of the world, Magad Vajji. So Vaishali, Bihar, it was the capital, and the government was quite different from Magad. The government was based on Gana and Sangh. Gana and Sangh. Gana is used for a group that has many members. Sangh means association or samiti, committee or association. So Gana or Sangh, there were many rulers, and they will do different kinds of rajas perform different kind of rituals. There were assemblies, people would come together and they'll discuss about certain matters. If some attack is going to happen, how to mitigate them, how to stop them. And the women, das and kamakaras, the lower grade people, and especially women, they are not being participant in all these. Okay, they are not given chance. Now Buddha and Mahavir, these are the Bhagwans. So they belong to Gana and Sangh only. They belong to Buddha and Mahavir, belong to Gana and Sangh only. So in the Buddhist book, we get all the vivid and detailed description of that era's life. So let me tell you that this all lasted till, if you go back 1500 years ago, so 2500 till 1500, this all went. After that, Gupta Vansh came, Gupta rulers came, and this is a history which we are going to read in detail, Gupta Vansh. So this all changed. Now before we conclude, this is Greece, this is Athens. Greece, Yunnan, Athens. So 2500 years back, for 200 years, they had democracy, Prajatantra, Ganatantra. And whoever is 30 plus age, they are full citizens. And more than 50 times, at least 50 times, 40 times, the meetings are being called. All citizens were allowed. I'll tell you who are not allowed. Lottery system were there, and this how they choose people. And the citizens have to work for or serve for army and navy. This was mandatory. Like today it happens in Israel, America, like this. And then mostly foreigners, those who have come from other land, and all those lower grade workers, those people who work in mines, field, households, workshops, they were not citizens. But still, 2500 years back, it was there. So this is all about this exercise.